Hi Flosstube, and welcome to Fairy Tales and French Knots. I'm Erin, and this is a channel about cross-stitch, where I talk long enough to make my family wonder what I'm up to, but short enough that you can probably watch this on your lunch break. If you're a returning viewer, welcome back. And if you're new here, welcome. I hope you like what I have to show off. Today is Sunday, August 17th of 2025. I don't know what number video this is off the top of my head. I have failed, but I will put it in the title, so you'll figure it out, I'm sure. Lately, well, actually, I should start by saying I took this last week off of work. My HR department told me that I had unused vacation time, and if I didn't use it, I would lose it. So seemed like as good a reason as any to stay home, say that I was going to clean and organize and really just craft like a mad woman. So yeah, that's what I've been up to. I've got some things to show you. I have some haul, and I will try and keep that toward the end for people who don't like to see haul. This was not planned haul, so maybe that makes it okay. I don't know. But let's start with what I've been working on lately. And first thing I got out was the Forget-Me-Not sampler that I've been working on for at least a year now. As with all of my projects, they come and go. The rotations happen for no reason whatsoever. I've pretty much abandoned my WIPGO board at this point. That's what usually happens by July or August whenever I try WIPGO. Starts out great, and then but anyway, so the Forget-Me-Not sampler is right here, coming along. I made some changes because I always do. These smaller trees were all pink. I did not want pink trees, so I made them brown. This was a green heart, and where my initials are were all pink hearts. So obviously I'm not a big heart person. I put in the year, I charted that myself, my initials. I did add one little heart because they're okay. They're just not my favorite thing. So that was the Forget-Me-Not sampler. What I have left to do is mostly just the border. And there's a big flower here, and then it's mirrored over here, and I think there's another flower or two up between the birds and the border. So mostly kind of spot work. So that's easily going to be done by January. So I mean, it better be. I stitched 2025 into it. So there's that. I also got out something I started for the Bring Out Your Kits stitch along last year. It's called Stone Creek, and it's a 1983 kit from Bernat, B-E-R-N-A-T. And this is what I've got so far. I did swap out the fabric. It was on a 14 count, and I'm doing it on a 40 count Verdal. But I think that makes it look a little bit more real, which I like. And it's a little less fiddly to not have two strands with all the color changes, because there's several greens, several different grays, a couple browns. So there's a lot of color changes happening there. I don't know when this will get done. I don't love it. I like it. It's cute. I have ideas. Who knows? And the other thing I've been working on, I started this after my last video, so I've made some pretty speedy progress on it. This is Old Shaker Tune by Homespun Elegance. There's what I've got. I've got the verse from Found the Place Just Right, It Will Be in the Valley of Love and Delight is done. The center, I believe, is right around Ought to Be. So I'm a middle starter. So I started in the middle, worked down, wanted to get some of the vine work and the little scene in. So got down to that. I just love these big giant flowers. They make me laugh. This is the top grass line because there's another house and a tree and a little girl up here. So it's also coming along. It's going to be, I think, about 6 by 6 when I'm done. And this leads me to a little bit of stash and finishing. So, you know, I'm not going to show off a whole bunch of haul here, but it's haul adjacent. Because what I was looking for was a very basic 6 by 6 or 8 by 8 square frame that had an antique look to it. So I went to the antique store, because where else would you go when you want an antique looking frame? And I started, you know, just looking through all the different booths, because we have several antique stores in town that are like dealer centered. So they'll have multiple vendors. I think one of them has close to 90 and the other one might even have more than that. So, and some of them have booths at both shops. That's okay. They have different things in both of them. So, you know, I'll look around and see what I can find. And I did find 2 square frames. One is blue and one is kind of a copper, green, gold antique look. I'm not sure which one I like better. So I bought them both. They were relatively inexpensive, like less than $10 a piece. They are not, in my opinion, like any kind of priceless antique. One of them had a Norman Rockwell print in it, not an antique. The other one had a Victorian girl at the beach, also not antique. I could tell by the way everything was put together on the back that it was an old or a repurposed print. But I learned, when you go to an antique store, do not tell the people at the cash register what you might do with the thing you're buying, because they get really protective and weird. Like, I told the girl, like, I'm looking for a frame for some old needlework, and I think I'm going to take this apart and use it for that. And she goes, oh, well, if you decide not to, you can always bring it back. No. I paid my $5. It's mine. If I want to throw away your old Victorian print, I will. Maybe I'll send it to a friend. Maybe I'll decoupage it onto another piece of wood. Who knows what I'll do? I do weird things. And the other thing that I got while I was there, and I can't show off right now because it's actually at my framers. My husband's grandmother used to wear hats. She always wore a hat. She had this little white, it wasn't really a sailor cap. She wore it to church, but it wasn't like the big church lady kind of hat either. It was a little canvas, jaunty little hat. I don't know. But my daughter always called her Grandma Hat because she was a grandma, but you know, the whole great grandma thing when you're a toddler doesn't make any sense. Yeah. So she always called her Grandma Hat. And Grandma Hat passed away in 2020, I believe. And when they were cleaning out her apartment and all of her things, we were sent Grandma's hat. It got kind of gross because, you know, the hat band got all discolored. It was a white hat and it was no longer white. So eventually my daughter agreed that we should probably throw it away because she wasn't going to wear it. It was gross. But it had this pin in it that was kind of Art Deco styled, I think it was like a side profile of a lady holding a fan. So at the antique store, we found some old advertising cards and a gauze hanky that was embroidered with pink roses. And we figured out, maybe you've seen this, people will use old like Vogue patterns, the covers that had the ladies and the dress that you were supposed to then sew. You take a pin or a rosette or something decorative and attach it to the center and then use a handkerchief or scarf or something to look like a 3-dimensional skirt on the front of that. I hope I'm describing that right. Maybe I'll see if I can find a picture of what my brain was trying to describe, and I'll put it here. So yeah, we were trying to do something like that with Grandma Hat's hat pin. And we found an advertising card. We found a really pretty little hanky, and we did get something put together, which we've already taken to my framer. And we paid about $7 for the things we made it with. We paid many times that to get it framed. But it will look lovely. And my framer is a magician, so I'm okay. Supporting a local artist really is what it comes down to. So I've got that coming. The other things that I found at the antique store, one of them was an old, one of those serving trays that I don't know if it was a Sudbury House one or not. It didn't say Sudbury on the bottom. It had been used. It had a piece of discolored needlework in it, and it needed to be sanded down. So it was one of those as is for $4 in the antique booth. So I bought it. I took it apart. I've started sanding the wood, and I took the piece of needlework out, and I made a drum or a standy tube of some kind. Yeah, it's a little pineapple and a basket of apples. There's the bottom. The top, I had some velveteen, green velveteen that's just the right color, some trim. So I've repurposed some needlework from, who knows, it doesn't have a date, it doesn't have any initials, I don't know who did it. It's cute, it sits on my counter. So I got that done. And then, during Midsummer Stitch, I was introduced to Stitchman Darcy, and I watched his live Flosstube with him and Jacob from Modern Folk Embroidery. And I remember him commenting during the video that his phone was going off over and over because people were buying things from his Etsy shop. I was one of those people. I bought a little square design called "It's Weird Not to Be Weird," which is a quote from John Lennon. And I may have teased you with part of my finish in my Instagram posts, because this is what it looks like. Now, this is not the way it is charted. It is charted in black, red, and I think a lemon yellow color. I used a dark brown, which is looking black in this light, a pink variegated, and a yellow or an orange and pink variegated called Orange Grove from Ship's Manor. So it's, I think, a Coates dark brown that's kind of like a 3371 black brown, Magnolia from Carrie's Creations, and Orange Grove. And then I used a green in the border that was a leftover from Owl Forest, an Owl Forest kit. So you've seen the stitched piece, right? So here it is. There it is. And at the antique store for $8, I found this owl. He's perfect. And there's the back. Just had some funky fabric from my stash. I love it. He's just so cute. Ah! So, yes. And it bothered me a little bit as I was putting it together. I don't know if you can even tell that it's not quite square on the mount, but it's weird. So, weird. And oh, I stitched it on a 44 count that I picked up on a freebie table, and I think it's not actually it's not an official, stitching fabric. It's like a tablecloth pillowcase kind of weave that somebody purchased, counted, figured out that you could stitch on it, and then decided they didn't want to. So they labeled it nicely, put it on a freebie table, and because I will work on high count, I decided to try it. And so you can see it's about 3 by 3 maybe. Yeah, but just so stinking cute. I love him. So there's my stitching and finishing progress over the past couple weeks. I mentioned something I wanted to start and then didn't. And I'm looking all over because I thought that I got it out. Oh, yes, I did. I was going to start the Beatrix Potter birthday stitch along with Pam over at Just Keep Stitchin' and Memphis Sarah E. I got as far as picking a pattern and kitting it up, and then went and went back to my other stuff that was already started. But what I picked was from an issue of the World of Cross Stitching, and it's this little guy, Peter and a pile of books. I think it will look excellent on, I have a piece of 36 count porcelain from Dixie Sampler that I can use up. And yes, I've got everything pulled. I've got all my DMCs pulled. It's in this lovely Peter Rabbit bag. My flosses are in this little Peter Rabbit bag. So I'm very thematically ready. I just haven't started. And the other thing I have, again, with my antique store adventures. One moment, please. Is I have this little box. It's a little tiny covered tray. It's got a little thing in here, lid, little flowers on it. And I also have in at least one or two other magazine issues some little Beatrix Potter smalls. Like I think there's a Jemima Puddle Duck and possibly a Benjamin Bunny. I also have some of the Green Apple Beatrix Potter books in my stash. So I'm envisioning if I do the bigger piece with the book and put it in some kind of funky frame, and then do the little ones like kind of like the animal crackers from Stacy Nash, do them like little stand-ups and put them in here, and then use one of the bookmark designs from the miniatures book and make a little pin cushion out of it that would fit on one side of this tray. Like I said, I have this entire like tableau going on in my head. I've stitched nothing, but I have plans. We'll see what happens. I don't know. I also have this little kerchief doily that was at the antique store as well that I thought looked really cute there. So then with little people or little figures in it, it could be a thing, and it'll be done in about 2035. So stay tuned. So yes, that is the project that I meant to talk about last time, but didn't start. So it doesn't really matter. And finally, I'm now rolling on to Stash here. So if you don't want to watch Stash, feel free to scroll on by, swipe left, do whatever you want to do. But there's this is Stash with purpose, okay? I have a friend who has owned her mother's yarn store for the past decade or two, I think. She's been the sole proprietor of a yarn shop in the Leatherstocking region of New York State, so near Cooperstown. And they had a very unexpected and horrific fire within about the past month, I think. Her shop burned to the ground. The apartment that was above it, I believe, was destroyed. The deli next door destroyed. So it was one of those, small town fires where all your buildings are so tight together that there was no chance. And I'm not sure if they know yet exactly how the fire started. Again, these were very old buildings, so who knows what kind of fireproofing and wiring and everything else had happened in those structures. But being the community that crafters are, Other crafters in the area, fiber artists and such, took up donations and did a giant sale. The sale was held last night in Cooperstown. And I knew my friend is a knitter, and I knew there would be piles and piles of yarn. I don't knit, so me going to a yarn sale is kind of like, that's pretty. I don't know what to do with any of those fibers. And I also know that, the kind of fiber it is matters, the amount of it matters, because I look at it and I go, oh, this would make a really pretty scarf. And then somebody tells me, yeah, you need 3 skeins of that size or weight or whatever it is to make what you think you might want to make that you don't know how to make. So anyway, she did say, as she was talking about this big sale, that there were all kinds of crafts. Knitting, of course, crocheting, quilting fabric, embroidery kits. Embroidery kits, you say? So it's about an hour and a half, 2-hour drive from where I am to where the sale was. And I went, it's for a friend. It's a good cause. I got nothing else to do on a Saturday night before my vacation ends. Let's go see what's there. And I thought, it's a craft sale. It's not going to be that big. There, if I'm not there right at 6, it'll be fine. Oh my God, people. It was crazy. It was crazy busy. And I mean, I'm so happy for my friend because I'm sure she did very well between, all the stuff that sold, and people would just randomly stick $20 bills in her pocket. It was so sweet. Like, as I was standing there talking to her for a minute or two, a woman came up to her who does knit and had frequented her shop. And she said, oh, so good to see you. The whole spiel that you do in those kinds of situations. And then she said, oh, and here's my husband. And this older gentleman comes up and he says, oh, it's so nice to meet you. It was very sweet. And then as they walk away, he bends over and he goes, you dropped this. And he just handed her, I know it was at least a 20. So things like that just kept happening. And it was heartwarming to watch. And I'm so sad that the reason that it had to happen, but to watch people take care of crafters and crafters take care of crafters was just, it was a happy thing. And then I got to the cross stitch bins, people. So I spent, I think, about $40. She gave me a total, and much like a lot of other people, I said, keep the change. Just give me the things, take the money. It's fine. Because I knew what I was getting. I have, hang on. Shepherd's Bush. I have Christmas drawers. And it came with that frame. So that it's actually over in my framing pile. Fully kitted. Still has the price tag from whoever either bought it or donated it, whatever. $10 for the whole thing. This one is Shepherd's Bush, Shepherd's Spring. Also fully kitted, because that's how Shepherd's Bush sold these little things. So I have both of those. I have from Bright Needle, I have the Elizabeth Stone pincushion, which was actually a freebie that came with one of their newsletters. But there's the chart. And there's fabric, and there's actually more floss back here. So that's fully kitted. I have Woodland Walk by the Drawn Thread, which is actually a pattern I own, but again, fully kitted with Soie Cristal down here, and the DMC, and the fabric. The yellow stickers were $10. I have Mary Gary's Sewing Cabin, which I have a weakness for Mary Gary stuff. This is her Millennium ABC, which it's 25 years later, so I'm not sure how I feel about this one now. But that's what it looks like. And again, this one's completely kitted with gentle art. Yellow sticker, $10. I don't know. I keep looking at it going, I don't know. I don't know if I'll stitch that one. I have also from Bright Needle, I have the Nantucket sampler, which is so cute. I love the little salt box houses. And again, with fully kitted, looks like all DMC. I see a Gast in there and fabric, all there. I have, this is killing me right here. This is all the silks for Just Nan's Common Ground sampler. They're all Soie d'Alger silks, all of them. There's still a price tag on the bottom for over $100 for the flosses. And the pattern was there, but this box of floss got separated from the pattern bin. And because the sale was put together by knitters, they didn't realize what they had. They didn't keep this with the pattern. And the person who found the pattern didn't know that these were somewhere else. I think they were with a box of like trims and doodads. So I ran back over to the pattern bin, but the pattern was gone. So I don't know. I have lots of Alversois that maybe I'll use it for something else. I mean, they're pretty standard Just Nan colors. If you've stitched much Just Nan, it's the like the 30-20 something purples and the 520 greens, just converted to Soie d'Alger. So I could stitch all my Just Nans in silk. I don't know. Yeah. I have no more words. And then the final thing that just absolutely, I grabbed this before I even was sure that I would stitch it. And then I looked at it and went, actually, I love that. I got for $5 Spring Fling by Blackbird Designs, Loose Feathers, number 13. Excuse me, $5, fully kitted with Gast. Really? So I looked at that and went, yes, please. And that just, without a doubt, was mine. The other thing I did after I felt like I, robbed the candy store with that. There was a table of finished things, both knitted, mostly knitted things, a few quilted things, no needlework, which is fine. But there was an absolutely gorgeous quilt. And my daughter has kind of outgrown the quilt that my grandmother made that was on her bed. And I looked at this quilt over and over and I went, I think that the child would appreciate this. The only issue was that on the table of finished materials, the pricing said, pay what you feel is fair. And I looked at that and I know what a good quilt, a well-made quilt, sells for. This one was a little bigger than twin, not quite full. So I guess basically a twin. My daughter has a twin bed. It's black and rainbows and just stunning. So I will put, it's already on my daughter's bed. So I'll put a picture here. Yeah, it's beautiful. I made an offer that I felt was fair. I think there was some daylight between what I could afford and what it's worth. But it wasn't like I tried to get it for $50 either. Yeah. So, yeah, it was heartening to see people looking out for each other, doing what they could to help, and I'm thrilled that I could be a part of it. And that's all I got for today. Maybe next time I'll have that forget-me-not sampler done, or maybe I'll have forgotten it and started something else. But until I see you again, keep making cool stuff and being good people. Bye.